Today's topic is the business reality of the dental career. It's going to be packed, and we begin our podcast right there.
Computers are live, mixer is up, levels are good, equalizer is good, ready channels 1 and 2. Mic is live in 3, 2, 1, roll it. Welcome, listeners, to the My Practice, My Business podcast, where we teach dentists and their teams how to reclaim forgotten profitability in dentistry with our clinical business of dentistry training. And now, the host of our show, the clinical director at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
There's a certain segment of our dental training that doesn't get the attention it deserves, yet it really has the greatest impact on all of us, or at least the large majority of dentists. This segment I'm talking about, in my opinion, should be given the same emphasis as crown preparations, operative prep designs, or implant placement. What am I talking about? Here we go. Funds and assets for your future. You know, the things that we know nothing about. The business topic that finds most of our retiring colleagues in positions of either living with their children, selling off everything they own for a modest RV life until death, or staying on a strict budget of top ramen and tuna fish sandwiches. Very few of us are prepared for retirement by age 60 to 65. For nearly 20 years, I've had the fortunate opportunity to train dentists and their teams in the clinical business of dentistry. I was talking with my business partner and sweet wife, Tracy, many of you know her, about all the docs that I've been able to learn from. For me, I get to learn from all of you. Yes, our clients teach us just as much as we teach them. They just don't know it. I explained to her that I was able to analyze all of our clients and trainees into 4 groups. That's right, I profile. Understanding, because I've been a private investigator for years, that's another story. Understanding these 4 group types are mission critical for your protection and success, doc, so pay attention. Keep it real and see what group you fall into. These groups are not complete by any means, but I think you'll get the picture, and I think you can fill in the blanks where you wish to do so. Group 1. This group only makes up roughly 5% of all dental professionals, if that much. These are dentists with little to no life trauma. I'll explain that phrase later in describing the other groups, but suffice it to say they've escaped many of life's challenges. I call them blessed. These are docs who are older and have lived within their means. They have kept up with technology and usually have kept their practices up to date with equipment and furnishings. This group 1 typically has retirement programs that are funded with $1 to $2 million minimum. They also plan to have their practices sold as a source of their retirement, bringing in another $500,000 to $1.5 million on average. The problem with relying on your practice as a source of retirement revenue is that new or recent graduates cannot qualify for bank funding to purchase your practice. However, the doctor carrying the loan on the practice isn't a bad thing either. Just make sure that your contract is fair with teeth in it, just in case something goes wrong. Just in case that newbie doc, doesn't quite cut the mustard. All right? No, then most docs who are in Group 1 seem to think that they're in good shape. And the question is, will there be enough money for you to retire with the same level of income that you've been accustomed to? If you're like most, you've witnessed a slow, non-concerning decline in your financials. In Utah, the average retiring dentist nets about $160,000 per year after taxes. This means that you would actually need to gross about $250,000 per year to maintain the same lifestyle. This is hoping the cost of living doesn't go crazy on us either. Nor you have health problems that are not covered by medical insurance, or that you have enough money for prescription drugs and things like that. Now then, to be able to make $250,000 a year, my good friends in Group 1, at a 5% super safe return on investment each year. I know all of you are like, well, I'm getting 8, 10, 16, 50 million % return on my money right now. Please. Let's just keep it super safe, okay? You only need $5 million in that Merrill Lynch retirement account. Money from the sale of your practice, that should be your cushion to the account for the cost of living increases or health issues or drugs that you might need. That's where all of you in Group 1 are, right? That's where you're at. $5 million in the bank and plus the sale of the practice. Now, that's just in Utah, so that you don't touch the principal if you don't have to. That's what you leave to your grandkids. Don't leave it to your kids. I'm just kidding. Now for the 95% of the rest of you, by the way, I hope Group 1, you're taking a hard look at that and saying, am I in that category? Am I going to be able to retire comfortably, or am I going to have to change my lifestyle when I retire? Think that through. Group 2, here we go. These are the docs who have done well but have seen a decline in their income over the years. These docs are typically in the middle to the end of their practicing careers. They've kept their practices fairly healthy, have some technology, typically digital radiography and other small to medium range improvements in their practices. Group 2 docs have been caught off guard throughout the years with the decline in their incomes. They are somewhat concerned about it, but they have money in the bank, some in a retirement account, and they're totally relying on the sale of their practices and Social Security and everything combined for the retirement strategy. Not a bad place to be, but not super healthy for retirement. They're not too concerned until they hit age 60 years of age. Then they just keep practicing until they can't practice anymore. They can't afford to retire. So they just keep plugging away, watching the number in their practice slowly decline until the actual value of their practice dwindles to 1/3 of its peak value or less. These are the practices that I see oftentimes being described in advertisements of, Doc, maybe you should sell your practice at peak. Group 2, watch your numbers. If you start to see them start to decline, once you're at 60 and beyond, maybe you need to consider selling that practice and working for the dentist that buys it, just so you can sell it at peak performance, right? Group 3. This group is typically made up with docs ranging from the newbie to the nearly retired, or what I call the nearly dead. These are the docs who are basically just surviving month to month. They're paying the bills, taking home a paycheck most of the time, and pretty much live and practice with stress hanging over their heads every single day. They tend to discredit technology because they simply can't afford it. Or should I say they have the perception that they can't afford it. However, they may have some forms of technology in their offices from better times. They tend to knee-jerk react, trying to find solutions to their production, collection, and new patient problems. They innocently get gobbled up by consultants who promise them they have all the answers to their problems, but they don't. They have little to no funds to improve the condition of their practice unless it comes out of their paychecks. Their practices haven't had a facelift in years, let alone new furniture or equipment. Group 3 docs oftentimes don't enjoy the business side of dentistry. They love being a dentist, but the enjoyment of running their own practice isn't fun for them. More on that later. Then there's Group 4. These docs in Group 4, in this group, they're simply circling the toilet bowl. They've contemplated bankruptcy several times, or they've already made the appointment with the attorney. The age range runs the gamut from beginning to end. These docs are typically the introverts with no business training whatsoever. Well, there you have it, guys. The 4 types of docs and practices we see in dentistry. Of course, there are varying degrees within each group, but most of you would agree that the large majority of docs fit these 4 groups. There is a common denominator here. Something that can explain why these four groups exist. Are you ready for it? Are you wondering why I'm even addressing this topic that few see or hear at the dental conventions? Or that we see those topics, we see those people that are giving those lectures, and typically the average doctor that walks in those lectures or the doc that's later in their years in life, and it's like the panic button's being pushed, right? I'm talking about this because, excuse me, it's an epidemic problem with all of us. Simply put, 95% of us are ill prepared for retirement. That's right, 95%. More specifically, a retirement that maintains the same lifestyle as on the day you remember working at your peak performance. The answer? No business training. That's right, no business training. Not taking the time to invest in your business doc with business training. Groups 2, 3, and 4 are most affected from this needed training, and it shows. This is why so many of us are not prepared for retirement. Remember when I mentioned that Group 1 docs tend to have little or no life trauma? Those things would be situations like divorce, poor health, problems with children, problems with a spouse, and the big one, bad investments in and out of dentistry. Divorce is a financial devastator. Best to work it out if you can, folks. Financially, everyone loses in the breakup of a marriage. Then there's your health doc. I have so many colleagues who cannot work full days anymore. That age range is typically anyone over 50 years of age finds that happening to them. Sometimes can be younger. Think about that one. We've all seen the movie, Failure to Launch. I see parents spend tons of money on their children for drug problems, health issues, schooling, business startups, first-time home buying, and the list goes on forever. We parents will do just about anything to help our children. Empowering them with continual support will cut into your retirement, though. Don't forget to allow them to launch, force them to launch. Hit the button for them if you have to. And then there's declining health of a spouse. Bless all of you who have been faced with a spouse and a child with cancer or trauma that's altered their health in one way or another. These are all things that work against us when it comes to being prepared for retirement. Are you beginning to see why you need to make sure you run your dental practice like a business? You can't prepare for life if your dental practice isn't running at maximum profitability. This is why we talk about direct operating costs per hour and looking at all your procedures and doing everything that you can to make sure you're profitable on every procedure. Just slim profit margins will not get you to where you need to be. You've got to run your business and at least have profit margins with 30 plus percentiles after your overhead. Speaking of business, bad business investments with your hard-earned dollars. Oh, that'll tap resources that may take years to recover. Years. Everyone thinks you're a money tree because of your profession. You and I know we're not. You have limited yet excellent earning potential and an expiration date that may come sooner than later. If your back gives out or some other factor hits you in your practice that doesn't allow you to run at the speed that you used to run at. My recommendation for all this is this. Invest in yourself. Invest in your skills and build upon those skills day after day, week after week, month and year after year. You have been trained in a field that can and will provide you a great living. However, you need to treat your dental business just like any other business. What do I mean? You need to be profitable on every procedure. Too many dentists provide free dentistry. Give it away. Give it away-itis is what I call. Mostly without even knowing that they are paying for their patient's dentistry. When we are not profitable, we can in no way prepare for retirement, let alone keep our practices vibrant and up to date. That's the power play right there. Our trained clients here at My Practice, My Business, they learn business principles that are not taught, let alone understood, by other dental consultants. And we guarantee our results here, or you pay us nothing. That's how much we care about those we serve. And believe me when I say this, those retirement years come faster than you can ever imagine. So get with a financial planner. Get with a person that you can trust, who comes highly recommended, and do that at an early age. And if you're older and you're just looking to start now, get fired up, get excited about it, build your practice. It doesn't happen overnight. Start building it slowly again. Build it up to a number that's going to be worth something when you sell it. And be putting money away. Live within your means and put money away, because that retirement will come faster than you ever think it will. And one more thing to add before I leave you today. And that is, if you enjoy dentistry and you're healthy and your hands don't shake and your vision's still good and your cognitive skills, you can actually prep a crown and remember where you're at halfway through the procedure, okay? Keep practicing. I see so many dentists that will retire under stress and wondering, they're worried about where their paycheck's going to come from Social Security and their practice and everything else. They retire and then they expire shortly after retirement. If that's where your mindset is, keep working. Enjoy dentistry. Even if you are prepared for retirement and you love what you do, keep doing it. You'll bless the lives around you with your skills and knowledge you've gained throughout the years, and you get to continue those interactions with the people that you love and care about. I'm talking about your patients and your team. So if you can keep plugging away and you enjoy it, plug away. Sell your practice. Work for somebody else part-time. Let them know you're going to take 2 weeks off to go to Hawaii and you'll be back in a few weeks. That just cracks me up, man. That's how retirement should be. It should be fun. It should be enjoyable. And it should be stress-free. And if you're preparing for it sooner than later, it can be. And if you're one of those docs in group 2, 3, and 4, let us help you guys that are in groups 3 and 4 turn your practice around. Group 2, let us help you add to your retirement. Group 1, we'll just add to your fun with our training. But the interesting thing is if you get with a good financial planner, I guarantee that they can help you make your situation better than what it currently is. You may have to change your lifestyle a little bit in retirement, but at least you'll be comfortable, and at least you'll be safe, and at least you'll have money coming in to enjoy the things that you enjoy in life. Plan now. Don't wait. If you need a recommendation, I'm happy to give you one. I'll give you the person that we work with, and I'm sure you've got other colleagues and many friends that can give you referrals for financial planners and advisors. They know their stuff, and the majority of them do very, very well, not just with their salary, but they do very well helping all of us. Prepare for that day when retirement comes, and like I say, you'll be staring at it before you know it. Before we end this podcast, I want to share with you a story that has stayed with me and will stay with me until the day I die, and probably beyond. Many years ago, I had three practices that we were training in the clinical business of dentistry. And the one practice was kind of unique. They were from New Jersey, and the doc that came for the training, he brought his hygienist and his office manager with him. He had a small practice. The office manager was also an assistant. They were already cross-trained before we were teaching cross-training. The doc was 68 years of age and had nothing for retirement. And he was so excited to go through our training. And while I was teaching a segment on direct operating costs and tying it in with the things that you can charge for, that insurance companies allow you to charge for, that many things that you guys don't realize you can charge for to help increase net revenue, not busy work. I looked over, and these guys were sitting kind of off to my right. And I looked over, and I could see that they had paper out, and they had a calculator out, and they were crunching numbers. And I could tell something was going on over there while I was teaching, and I was almost like in auto mode. I was on autopilot teaching while I had my eye on them, kind of watching what they were up to, and I'm going, "Oh, good, they're really focused. They're taking notes. But I hope they're not missing other things I'm teaching and training on, because they were kind of looking at each other and talking." And then I saw something happen. I saw the two ladies that the doc was with. They put their arms around him. Each sat on each side of him, one on each side, and they put their arms around him. And I saw his hands go up to his face, and I saw his face fall in to his hands, and the elbows were on the table. And so I said, "You know what, you guys, let's take a 10-minute break, and let me give you guys a break. We'll get back." And most people couldn't see him. He was kind of to the back right. In fact, nobody saw what I was watching. And they were consoling him. They put their arms around him and were patting his back and just consoling. And everybody got up, kind of ran out, bathroom, took a break, and went outside, run around. And I walked over there and I said, "Are you guys okay?" I really honestly thought that maybe they caught news of a death in the family, got a text message, something happened, or I was really concerned about him. And the doc got up, he walked around the table, and he came over, threw his arms around me, and gave me a hug. This old guy, if I could, I wish I could describe him to you. My description will not give you the full visual, the impact that this guy had on my life, but he was one of those dentists that the back was curved, the head's hanging over, the neck's bent. His fingers, with a little bit of swollen joints and arthritis, yet he still had his wits about him. Vision was good, no shakes, and still practicing. And he came and embraced me, and he said, "Rob," he goes, I apologize if you took the break because of my meltdown. And he said, I looked closer on their table, and they had their analysis report sitting there. And they were able to see, like what we do when practices, when they first want training, we have them send the analysis report, and we're able to show them the money that's walking out of their door every day. And they actually looked at their analysis report, and they were calculating how much revenue was actually walking out and comparing it to what I had given them. And then they had really looked at it and realized how much revenue this guy was going to be able to make over the next few years. And he said to me, he goes, "Rob, I've spent tens of thousands on consultants. You're the first one that has shown me a clear pathway of getting to a point where I can actually retire, hopefully, in my life before I die." And he said, the girls, we looked at it, and he said, I believe I can get to a point within 5 years between what you've shown me and my team today, and shown all the teams here, and the sell of my practice, and being able to increase my numbers in my practice with what you've shown us. He said, I think I can hit that 3 to 4 million mark in about 5 years. And I was like, wow, you really get it. I said to him, you believe in what you listen to. You've seen the pathway. I said, will you keep in touch with me over the years and let me know where you're at and how you're doing? He said, absolutely. And so he left and went to the restroom, and his team members came up to me, and the words of kindness and gratitude that resonated from them. Both these team members had been with this guy one had been with him for 20 years, and the other one had been with him for about 15. And they said, if you only knew what this guy has faced in his life, from his wife who passed away and the children and everything. He has given everything to everyone. And he's not prepared for life himself. Well, this guy kept in touch with me throughout the years, you guys. And he actually hit that number of being able to retire. He hit that number in 4.5 years, just under 5 years. The guy was able to retire, I think, as I recall, he was 67, 68 years of age right in there, but he was able to retire before his 74th birthday. I think he retired when he was 73. And he was able to retire comfortably because of what we taught him. And I'll never forget the kind letter that this doc sent me, thanking me for teaching what we teach, the clinical business of dentistry. You guys, that story will stay with me for the rest of my life. So I'm telling you that story. It's not on my written script here of things to cover. But I hope that if you're in that situation, you give us a call, let us help. I hope that if you're not in that situation, but you see yourself headed there, because you're not prepared, because it isn't a lot of profitability in your practice, I hope you give us a call. And for all of you who have been through our training, you have no excuse. You better be there. And thanks so much for listening to this podcast and letting me tell that story, because there are those stories in our lives that always stay in our hearts and they never leave. I learned more from that kind, gentle doctor from New Jersey than he will have ever learned from me. Grateful that I had the opportunity to serve him. Thank you so much for tuning into the My Practice, My Business podcast. You can find additional podcasts you may have missed that will help you with your dental practice at Apple iTunes Podcasts. And remember to become a subscriber to our podcast. Many of you have asked how to help support the My Practice, My Business podcast. If you have enjoyed the program and information you received today, the best way to help is to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks again for allowing us to be a part of your day.